How can you be successful every time you duck or goose hunt? That depends on your definition of success. If your gauge for success is a limit of birds, and I don't know anyone who does it every time they go, a lot of hunters stress so much importance on making a pile and bragging pictures that they miss a lot of the other things that make the hunting experience so great. Set your expectations based on your hunting area, skill level, and conditions, and just have fun. Of course, we all want to shoot as many birds as we possibly can. That's a big reason why we're there. So how do we do that? Before you set out your decoys, before you blow your call, you must choose a spot to hunt. That choice can make you a hero or a zero. I scout every single day of duck season and several days before it opens. It's absolutely critical to my success for duck or goose hunting. I'm a hunting guide and I only hunt on private ground, but the things that I'm going to share with you on this video will help you no matter if you hunt private or public, anywhere you got ducks. I mean, you got to have some ducks in your area or I can't help you. So you want to know how you can choose a place to hunt? I'll tell you what I do, this time on Surviving Duck Season.
Surviving Duck Season, offering you the best waterfowl content. Subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, and don't miss any of our great content. Presented by Mojo Outdoors at High and Dry.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Joel Strickland. So today I'm going to give you some overall thoughts on scouting, some of my philosophies, ways that I get started, give you some suggestions there, as well as some questions that you'll want to answer when you're scouting. And then I'm going to share with you 5 things that I do when I scout. Now we've had a few of you ask for a how-to video on scouting, which is why we're doing this video today. We've also got some other tip videos on our channel as well, so check those out. Also, make sure you check out episode 3 of our docu-series, which gives you a big picture view of scouting in different parts of the country. Quite different from the video for today and very interesting. Okay, so first let's start with the questions. The first question is, where are the ducks roosting in your area? Now, this is a really great place to start when you begin scouting, whether it's before the season or at any point during the season. Knowing where the birds are roosting at night will help you know a lot of things. Now keep in mind, in scouting, you're not only scouting the places that you have access to hunt. I mean, I'm talking, about not just your private ground that you can hunt on, or not just the public areas that you're hunting. I'm talking about surrounding areas. It's really important to know what's going on in your general area where you're hunting. So when it comes to knowing where the birds roost, it can be on your place, it can be on the WMA or whatever that you're hunting, but it could also be on a waterfowl sanctuary, it could be on somebody else's private ground, it could be on a lake or wherever the birds happen to roost in your area. So that's a really great place to get started. If you're new to your area, ask people, ask, hey, where's the place I can go watch ducks falling in at night? And they'll tell you. And it's very valuable information to know, even if it's, a few miles away. Now, why is it that I do this? Well, it helps you to gauge the population of the birds in your area. Once I know where they roost, then I start trying to figure out where they're going in the morning. Sometimes they're there in the morning when you get there. That's not necessarily the best place to go hunting, because oftentimes when you go in before daylight and the birds are already there, you're going to run the birds off, and chances are they may not come back for a long time. Typically where I hunt, roost spots don't make the best hunting locations in the morning, and then in the afternoon you sure don't want to go in there because you might burn it up and push the birds out of your area. How do I figure out where they're going in the morning? Well, that means going in, setting up, and watching from afar what the birds do on their own after it starts getting daylight. Do they go to the east? Do they go to the south? Do they go to the west? Where do they go to? And then you can start trying to pinpoint specific locations. Most of the time they don't all get up and go the same direction. I mean, it kind of depends on how many birds you're talking about. In Arkansas, where we hunt, I mean, we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of birds in a roost. And so, they're not all just going to pick up in one wave and go to the same spot. They're typically going to split up, go, different directions. Remember, it's nothing for a duck or goose to fly 50 or even 100 miles to go feed. Oftentimes, knowing where a bird flies over is just as good and sometimes even better than being on an X. An X sometimes is only good for a few days, but if you can find birds on a pattern that are leaving a roost and going to another feeding spot, and you can be right underneath their path, that's a really, really great consistent place to hunt, and you don't burn those kind of places out near as often because they're not coming in there to use all the time. They're just passing over. Then you have the opportunity of calling to them as they fly over your spot, try to get them to come in and check you out. And that's what we do. We call it trafficking birds, but we do that a lot where we hunt. So now you've located some ducks on a spot that you want to hunt. The next question is, when did they get there and how long do they stay? Well, obviously you need to watch them for more than 5 minutes to know, the answer to that question. But knowing if they were there when you got there, were they there before daylight? Do they arrive mid-morning? That sort of thing. And are they just coming in for a short period of time and leaving? Those questions will help you to know, again, when you need to be there to hunt. And the final question that a lot of people don't seem to think about, and this is a biggie to me, is did they all get there at the same time or do they just trickle in? Now, like I said, a lot of people don't think about this. I mean, because if you've got 20 birds, 50 birds, 1,000 birds, whatever the case may be, using a spot that you want to hunt, did they just trickle in one or two at a time? That's the ideal situation. If it's a situation where birds consistently come to a spot every day and they're all coming at once, that might not be the best choice of a location to hunt, unless that's your only option. As good a shooting as you can possibly have with your hunters, getting a limit in one volley typically does not happen. Now let's go to the tips. I've got 5 tips that I'm going to share with you, things that I do when I go scouting. Number 1, take binoculars. It seems pretty obvious that that's something you want to do, but it's just not a good idea to try to use your eyeballs to see everything that you need to see, when it comes to scouting. There's so many times that you can't see what you need to at 100, 200, 400 yards away with your naked eye. Whether it's looking between brush, between grass clumps, stubble in a field, or between brush and trees, you can't see everything you need to see with your eyeballs. When it's looking up into the sky, you can only see so far, and then you go, well, I guess there's no ducks. There's been a lot of times where I've looked out across a field, didn't see anything, looked out across a marsh, looked up into the sky, didn't see a thing, but pulled my binoculars up and looked and held it for just a few seconds, and all of a sudden I just see a little flash. Oh, there's something over there, and then you continue looking and, oh, wow, there's a bunch of birds over there. Things that, you might not have noticed if you didn't have a pair of binoculars. Number 2, scout your properties from as many angles as possible. You can't necessarily see everything from one spot unless it's a flat, wide open piece of ground you're looking at. Most of the better duck hunting spots are not going to be that way. So get to a vantage point where you can see, check it out, and then move to the opposite end and scout and, glass it again. And something that I always like to do is I like to get as high of a vantage point as I possibly can without spooking the birds. And most of the time when I'm scouting, I'm trying to stay several hundred yards away. I don't want to bust my birds. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll stand up in the back of my truck where I can look down into the brush. A lot of times birds like to be near cover. They'll in agricultural fields, they'll be near stubble. If it's a marsh, moist soil habitat, that sort of thing, they're going to be, around cover, and you can't see as well unless you get up and look down into it. Number 3, you've got to move around to scout your properties. I drive my truck to a lot of the properties that I scout, but then I get on foot and I will walk and get to another vantage point. Sometimes you just can't see everything from the road. Some places we have to use a boat to get to, use an ATV or UTV to get to it. But let me just stress this one more time. You can't bust your birds out. That's one big no-no for us is we don't want to bust our ducks. We don't want to get in there, flush the birds out, and that sort of thing. So it's very, very important to be careful when you're scouting. Number 4, things that I do when I'm scouting, I look up a lot. It seems to go without saying, they're waterfowl, they fly, okay? So you need to look up in the sky. Don't use your scouting time to only be looking for a place where birds are on the water or using a dry field or that sort of thing. Look up a lot. Watch the birds flying down the highways in the sky, because that's what they are. They are following corridors that they have flown for generations and generations. And so that's where your blind needs to be, is underneath one of those, corridors. And if you can be under a corridor that goes this way and a corridor that goes that way, all the better, because you have more opportunities for ducks to fly over the top of your head. Now, when you're scouting, it's again important to see birds flying across. Watch what they do. See where they're going. Sometimes they're just traveling. And, traveling birds are way, way up there. That's not so much of what I'm interested in looking at. I'm looking at these mid-level altitude and lower altitude ducks that are, under 1,000 feet. A lot of times they're going to be, 100 feet. And I'm looking for where those birds are going, because they're only going to fly for maybe a few miles and then, find a spot to get down. And so that's the kind of birds I'm looking at as I'm traveling around and scouting. My number 5 tip of things that I do when I'm scouting, and this is also a big one, scout at different times of the day. If you only go out and scout an hour before dark, all you know is where birds are using in the late afternoon. And if that's not the time that you're normally going to hunt, then that may not be helping you. It may be helping you find out where the roosts are, but it's not helping you find out what birds are going to be using in the morning. So you need to scout. A really great time to scout actually is right after you get done hunting. You hunt till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, immediately go scouting for the next hour or two. Find out where the birds are that time of the morning, and that will help you know what to do in the next day. Look at multiple times a day, because it'll help you know there may be a place that birds are using between 10 and 2 that you can go in there and kill them, that maybe you can't do anything with them at daylight. And that happens a lot. So make sure that you give yourself the best opportunity you can. And obviously, different rules apply, at your hunting club, or different rules may apply at a public hunting area, because I know a lot of public hunting areas all across the country, cut off hunting by noon. But if you have an opportunity to hunt in the middle of the day, sometimes that can be some of your very best hunting. I learned very early on that it was really important to have a lot of places, as options to go hunting. I started out with having several private places, places that I had permission to hunt. Later on, I started leasing ground. And then also having more than one public option. And most states have multiple public hunting opportunities. So, don't limit yourself to one spot. Have multiple options. If you're not on the ducks and you don't have a good guess place to go, my opinion is you're better off burning tomorrow morning on a scouting trip and then having a successful hunt the next day, rather than just going hunting, with, totally blind in a spot that you really have no idea if it's going to be good or not. Scouting, putting in your time, is one of the most important things about being successful when you duck hunt. That was a lot of information about scouting. I hope it was something that will be helpful to you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Now, I have a question. Question of the day is, do you prefer to duck hunt on a sunny day or a cloudy day? I'm not talking about foggy. I'm not talking about rainstorm or sleeting or snowing. I'm just talking about sunny versus cloudy. What do you prefer? Give me some feedback in the comment section below. I want to know what you think. We're going to talk about that next time on Surviving Duck Season, plus some other things too. Until next time, God bless and good hunting.
Surviving Duck Season, presented by Mojo Outdoors. Also brought to you by High and Dry and RoveItRacks.com.